Ah, hey guys, good evening. How's everyone doing? You know what? My damn neighbor over there decided to mow like about 5 minutes before my stream. Like you've had all evening to do that, dude, you know? Oh, it's so annoying. Hey, Sapphire. Look, I got the PJs on, girl. I love them. I'm obsessed with them. Love the eyeshadow palettes. Absolutely love them. I can't see what I'm doing. Hey, Cheryl T, checking convictions. Charlie Girl says, oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm not good at eyeshadow, guys. And like, one of my eyes is bigger than the other one. I swear it is. Hey, Jack's mom. So it's hard to do my eyeshadow. I'll show you what my bestie sent me. Hold on. I've got this on. Let me go here. Can y'all see it? It's called So Juicy. And this like plumps up your lips. Let me put my cigarette out. Smoke's killing me. And it's like clear. I love this. It's good. It's kind of got like a menthol. It's by ColourPop. Menthol feeling to it. I like it. I think it looks cute. I'm not big on lipstick. I just wear a lot of lip glosses. She's good at eyeshadow. She did mine. I know. I was good at doing yours. I'm not good at doing my own. Okay. So she ordered me that, and that's what I have on, Cherry Crush, and I have on the cherry stem, Take a Bite, and Sweet Light. This is so freaking cute. I want to kick the box. It's so freaking cute. Look how cute that is. Ah. So I have on that one, the dark one, and the glittery one. Yeah. I watched a tutorial today. Of course, mine did not turn out like that tutorial. I can't blend. I need to learn to blend. Love the lip gloss. Hey, I like it. I like it because it's clear and it actually plumps up your lips. It does. Oh, but check this out. I love this. Hold on. I love anything that's related to cannabis. Check this out. This is by Revolution. This is so cool. I can't wait to try this. I'm going to try this tomorrow. It's actually got I can't, like little marijuana leaves, as you can see. This is so cute. This will look good for this fall time. Anytime, really. Use it for St. Patrick's Day. I'm going to use it just anytime. I love makeup, guys. Okay, let me put this back. Ooh, she also sent me this. I needed this. It's like vitamin E cream. I needed this bad. And this serum. We need to get rid of these wrinkles up here. I need to get some Botox, y'all. I was looking to see how much it costs. Oh my God, guys. It's like about $300. $300. And then it doesn't last unless you keep getting it done. Oh my gosh, the moon looks beautiful tonight. So we're going to read. Thank you, Sapphire. Love you, girl. I can't wait till you come. We're going to we're going to party like it's 1999. Yes, we're going to have fun. Hey, Mommy Mars. Did I say hi to Sky? Hey, Sky. Yeah, I do. I need to get rid of these wrinkles. My mom has these same wrinkles in her forehead. I hate them. I hate them. I thought if I get Botox, it might take it away. Hey, look at that girl's channel, Savage Life. She got some Botox done and she is looking good. She looks like, well, she's lost weight too. She's been on a keto diet, but she looks like a totally different person from last year. Yeah. It's like a vaccine you need to maintain with boosters. Yeah. I need to get something done around here too. My eyes is getting wrinkly. Okay, let's read some urban legends, y'all. I got us a few. What did I do with my notepad? Oh my gosh. I wrote down the ones I was going to read, and I bet I threw the sticky note away. I'm losing it. I smoked too much. I smoked a big bowl before I came on here. Oh, I forgot. Skylar's outside. I couldn't get the little turkey to come in. So I'll have to go get her in a little bit. Let's see, which one was I going to read first? The Hatchet Man, Milk Bottles, and The Hook. I was going to read that one. Let's see which one first. Let's read The Hatchet Man. The Ghost Handprints one is a really good one. It's not that creepy, though, I didn't think. Okay. Let me screen share so I ain't just right popping up on the screen. I hate that. Let me sit here from a distance. Let me fix it. Okay. Let's see. What does it look like that? Okay, that's not that bad. I need some spectacles. Okay, I think I got fingerprints on these. This is called The Hatchet Man. It don't say what state it's from. Some of these say what state they're from. A scary folk tale. I used to have this book full of awesome urban legends. But I don't know what I did with it. Hold on 1 minute, guys. One of my friends got burnt real bad. Let me respond. Okay. Can't see. Okay. There were warnings all over campus about a hatchet man who supposedly abused and killed a woman in Bloomington. All the girls were warned to walk in pairs and to stay in brightly lit areas if they had to go out at night. The sophomore and her roommate were staying in an empty dorm room over Thanksgiving break, since both their families were out of the country. The grown very bored as day followed boring day and night followed boring night. What? Tired of staying inside every night for fear of the hatchet man, her roommate suggested that they have dinner at the local bar. The sophomore agreed. The two women had lingered longer than anticipated, and it was almost midnight when the sophomore, more than a little drunk, decided to walk back to the dorm. Her roommate was busy flirting with the bartender, so she headed into the dark, silent streets alone. The sophomore had forgotten all about the hatchet man warnings. It wasn't until she took a shortcut through a dark, creepy alley that she remembered there was a desperate murderer on the loose. The sophomore shivered, feeling suddenly sober and very much alone. She felt as if hostile eyes were peering out at her from every menacing shadow and darkened doorway. She quickened her pace. Was that heavy breathing she heard behind her? Were those footsteps walking in time with her own? The sophomore broke into a run, heart pounding fiercely, sure that someone was following her. She darted onto the college campus, zigzagged through the buildings, and flung herself panting into the dorm. She pounded up 3 flights of stairs, down the hall, slammed into her room, locking the door behind her. It was only then, leaning against the door with her heart racing, that she started to feel foolish. There was no sound from the hallway, no footsteps, no heavy breathing, no hatchet breaking through the wood of the door. She'd been a fool. The sophomore staggered to the bathroom to wash up for the night, leaving the door locked behind her. She kept glancing in the mirror to make sure that everything was secure. The scene in the mirror was normal, and there was no sound in the empty dormitory. Everything was just fine, she told herself. Then she remembered that her roommate was still at the bar. She didn't want her roommate to walk home alone, so she called the bar and asked the manager if he would arrange for her roommate to be brought home in a taxi. The music in the background was loud, and she wasn't sure if the manager understood her request, but at least she tried. The sophomore curled up in the bed with the reading lamp on, determined to wait up for her roommate. But the combination of heavy drinking and her earlier fright sent her into a deep sleep almost at once, and she did not awaken until the sun came pouring in the window early the next morning. She woke with a hangover and rolled over, trying not to be sick in the bed. When she looked across the room, she realized that her roommate wasn't in bed on the far wall. In fact, it looked as if her bed had not been slept in at all. She rolled to her feet, pounding with dread. Maybe her roommate had spent the night in the lobby. Her roommate had done that once before when out partying until the wee hours of the morning, saying it was too much trouble to climb the 3 flights of stairs. With trembling hands, the sophomore unlocked the door and wrenched it open in search of her roommate. The unmistakable, faintly metallic scent of blood splashed into her nostrils as the door swung open. That was her only warning before her shocked eyes saw blood splattered all over the walls and floor of the 3rd floor hallway. She screamed in terror, leaping away from the partially decapitated body of her roommate, which lay dead at her feet. Her throat was slit from end to end, blood pooled underneath her dead body. The nails on her outstretched hands were torn and splintered where they had scratched desperately at the wooden door. A black shadow lay across her roommate's body. She looked up in daze, her gaze following the black shadow to its source. Embedded in the window frame near the entrance of the staircase was a blood-stained hatchet outlined in the light of the rising sun. Oh my goodness. I'm home alone. That kind of creeped me out a little bit, y'all. Let me look at the chat. That did. Hey, Cindy. That kind of creeped me out a little bit when I remembered I was home alone. Oh my gosh. Do y'all ever watch scary stuff and like you'll be sitting there and you'll get scared, afraid something's behind you or something? I kind of got that feeling when I was reading that. Oh gosh. It's scary. Okay, let me see which else ones. Let's do where's that one at? I thought there was a hook one. There is. Hold on. They have like all kinds of like folklore, tall tales, myths and legends, ghost stories, jokes, tongue twisters, fables and fairy tales. Okay, so this is called The Hook. And this is from the Spooky Campfire Tales. There's a book called The Spooky Campfire Tales. I need to order that. Okay, the reports had been on the radio all day, though she hadn't paid much attention to them. Some crazy man had escaped from the state asylum. They were calling him the Hook Man, since he had lost his right arm and had it replaced with a hook. He was a killer, and everyone in the region was warned to keep watch and report anything suspicious. But this didn't interest her. She was more worried about what to wear on her date. After several consultation calls with friends, she chose a blue outfit in the very latest style and was ready, waiting on the porch when her boyfriend came to pick her up in his car. They went to a drive-in movie with another couple. Then they dropped them off and went parking in the local lover's lane. The blue outfit was a hit, and she cuddled close to her boyfriend as they kissed to the sound of romantic music on the radio. Then the announcer came on and repeated the warning. she had heard that afternoon. An insane killer with a hook in place of his right hand was on the loose in the area. Suddenly, the dark, moonless night didn't seem so romantic to her. The Lover's Lane was secluded off the beaten track, a perfect spot for a deranged madman to lurk, she thought, pushing her amorous or something boyfriend away. Maybe we should get out of here, she said. The hook man sounds dangerous. Oh, come on, baby, it's nothing, her boyfriend said, trying to get in another kiss. She pushed him away again. No, really, we're all alone out here. I'm scared, she said. They argued for a moment, then the car shook a bit as if something or someone had touched it. She gave a shriek and said, Get us out of here now. Geez, her boyfriend said in disgust. But he turned the key and went roaring out of the Lover's Lane with screeching of his tires. They drove home in stony silence, and when they pulled in her driveway, he refused to help her out of the car. He was being so unreasonable. She fumed to herself. She opened the door, stepped into her driveway with her chin up and lips set. Whirling around, she slammed the door as hard as she could, and then she screamed. Her boyfriend leapt out of the car and caught her in his arms. What is it? What's wrong? He shouted. Then he saw it, a bloody hook hang from the handle of the passenger side door. I think everybody's heard that one. I love that one though. Where is the milk? The milk bottles one is a good one. I think it is. I love ghost stories. Lover's Lane never seem to have good endings. How many of y'all have went and parked on a Lover's Lane? Now be honest, don't lie now. I have. Many times. Many times. This guy once told me and Mark that him and his girlfriend were parked on a Lover's Lane up here on a road called Birchfield. And, you know, they pulled off the road and up into the woods, this little turnoff. And he claims that they saw demons down there. I don't know what they were on. He was really serious. I don't think they were on anything, to be honest. They were just down there camping and had been fishing. And he claimed he saw this thing outside of their van window. He said it looked like that it was a demon. Who knows about them, though? He could have been hallucinating. He could have been dreaming. He said it was sober, so who knows what they saw. Okay, milk bottles. She was just another poor, bedraggled woman struggling to feed her family. He saw them all the time, their faces careworn and blank. The depression had created hundreds of them. They was one of the lucky ones who still had his grocery and money coming in to feed his family. She came one day to his shop carrying 2 empty milk bottles and wordlessly placed them on the counter in front of him. He took the empties and replaced them with full bottles, saying, 10 cents, please. She did not reply. She just took the bottles and left the shop. He might have gone after her to demand his money or called the police, but he did neither. Her need was in her face, and he always felt a little guilty at being one of the lucky ones with money and a job. She was probably one of the migrant workers, he decided. She was back the next day with 2 empty milk bottles. He replaced them with full bottles and watched as she hurried out the door. She looked so worried that he wondered if she had a job at all. If she came back, he would offer her a part-time position cleaning the store. She came again the next morning and exchanged her empty bottles for full without saying a word. He tried to talk to her to ask if she wanted a job, but she practically ran from the store with the milk. Her urgency worried him. He followed, wondering what he could do to help. To his surprise, she headed away from the migrant camp outside of town. She went instead to the graveyard by the river. As he watched, she hurried up to a stone marker and then disappeared into the ground. He rubbed his eyes in disbelief. Then he heard the muffled cry of a baby. It was coming from the ground underneath the stone marker where the woman had disappeared. He ran back to the store, phoned the police. Within minutes, the graveyard was swarming with people, and the workers started digging up the grave. When the casket was opened, the store owner saw the woman who had visited his store lying dead within it. In her arms, she held a small baby and two full milk bottles. The baby was still alive. The baby was buried alive with the mother. Yes. Isn't that creepy? I thought that was a good story. Okay, let's see. Which else do we have? Oh, we have the ghost handprints. There has to be a better one than that. Let me see. I read several of these today. The Hook, the Old Bridge. Oh, here was kind of like a funny ghost story. One dark night, windy night, the town drunk was meandering his way home after the bar closed. Somehow he got turned around and ended up walking through the churchyard instead of taking the road home. The wind picked up and he thought he could hear a voice calling his name. Suddenly the ground opened up in front of him and he fell down into an open grave. He could hear the voice clearer now calling to him. He knew it was the devil, coming for him just like the preacher said on account of him being the town drunk. The hole was very deep, and inside it was pitch black. His eyes adjusted to the darkness after a few moments, and he made out a form sitting in the darkness with him. It called his name, and he scrambled away in fear, trying to climb out of that terrible grave. Then the figure spoke. "You can't get out," it said. The drunk gave a shout of pure terror and leapt straight up more than 6 feet. He caught the edge of the hole in his hands, scrambled out, and ran home as fast as he could go. Inside the grave, his neighbor Charlie sighed in resignation. He'd fallen into the hole a few minutes before his friend and thought that together they might help each other climb out. Now he was going to have to wait until morning and get the mortician to bring him a ladder. He thought it was the devil. That's funny. Oh my gosh. Hey, Southern Mom. How have you been? Okay, let's see. Let's see which other ones we have. I wonder, I didn't read this White Lady. Maybe we should read it. It says a New York ghost story. In the early 1800s, the White Lady and her daughter were supposed to have lived on land where Durand Eastman Park, part of Iron something of something now stands. I can't pronounce that. One day, the daughter disappeared. Convinced that the girl had been raped or murdered by a local farmer, the mother searched the marshy lands day after day, trying to discover where her child's body was buried. She took with her two German Shepherd dogs to aid in her search, but she never found a trace of her daughter. Finally, in her grief, the mother threw herself off a cliff into Lake Ontario and died. Her dogs pined for their mistress and shortly joined her in the grave. After death, the mother's spirit returned to continue to search for her child. People say that on foggy nights, the White Lady rises from the small Durand Lake, which faces Lake Ontario. She is accompanied by her dogs, and together they roam through Durand Eastman Park, still searching for her missing daughter. The White Lady is not a friendly spirit. She dislikes men and often seeks vengeance against the males visiting the park on her daughter's behalf. There have been reports of the White Lady chasing men into the lake, shaking their cars, making their lives miserable until they leave the park. She has never touched any females accompanying these unfortunate fellows. Ooh. That was kind of a good one. Let's see. Here's what it says. Where's my liver? We got to read that. Oh my gosh. In Ontario, ghost story. Okay, Ladybug, what are you doing? Don't be barking. Lady and Skylar's out here with me. Where's my little stalker, Lady? Okay. Go straight to the store and don't fool around, his mother said sternly as she handed over the money. Your father's boss is coming to dinner tonight, and we're having his favorite meal of liver and onions. It's important that we make a good impression, so get the best liver they've got. I will, Ma, Tommy sulked. His mother had really been after him since he brought home a felon report card. Tommy grabbed his bicycle from the garage and rode down the street. Then he saw his friend Chad. Come on, Tommy, Chad called. The gang's playing baseball over at the park, and we need a pitcher. Immediately, all thoughts of his errand fled from Tommy's mind. The boys headed towards the park. Tommy pitched a no-hitter to win the game for his team, but by the time it was over, it was dark. Then Tommy remembered his errand. The liver, he gasped. I got to get to the store, but all the local grocery stores were closed. My mom's going to kill me, he gasped. First the bad report card, and now this, he would be grounded for life. As he rode home past the cemetery, he got an idea. It was an awful idea, but it would save him from the even more awful fate that awaited him if he came home without a liver. His great uncle had just died a few days ago and had been buried in the cemetery. What harm would it do to remove it? His uncle certainly didn't need it anymore. Lord have mercy. Tommy hurried home as silently as he could and got his father's shovel. He returned to the cemetery and began digging up his great uncle's grave. That night, his mother cooked up the liver and onions, and the boss raved about the meal and had such a good time that he didn't leave until quite late. Tommy went to bed that night, relieved he had gotten away with it. He fell asleep almost as soon as his head hit the pillow, but woke up with a start soon after, sure that he had heard a voice. Where's my liver? A ghostly voice rose up from the staircase, deep and guttural or something. Tommy gasped in fear, flung himself under the covers as the thud of the heavy footsteps reached the top of the steps. Thump, thump, thump. The footsteps drew nearer until they reached Tommy's door. Who's got my liver? The horrible voice asked again. Go away, Tommy whispered repeatedly. His whole body trembled in terror as once more the voice asked, Where's my liver? Who's got my liver? Sheer terror made him suddenly bold. Tommy threw back the covers and found the shriveled white face of his great uncle right above him. We ate your liver, he shouted. I know you did, Tommy, the rotting corpse of his great uncle said softly, stretching out his bony hands towards the boy's shaken body. Tommy screamed. The next morning, Tommy's parents discovered their son lying dead on top of his bed. His liver had been ripped out of his body, but the autopsy proved that the boy had already died of fright before his liver was removed. Oh my gosh, what a creepy story. What a creepy story. Jack's mom, I love how CC reads ghost stories. Thank you. I love ghost stories. I've always loved scary stuff. Like, I started watching scary movies when I was probably 7 or 8 years old. And I started out by watching the Friday the 13th movies. And I watched every one of them in order. I love them. Ooh, I'm going to be going and seeing the new Candyman movie. I'm going to make Timothy go with me. It's supposed to be good. Do y'all remember the old Candyman movies? I remember renting them at the video store on VHS. Gosh, I'm getting old. Okay, let me see. Let's see what this is. The face. Someone's scratching at the door. Boo Boo's in the house. Girl, sit down. Okay, this is called The Face. The medical student toppled into love as soon as he set his eyes on Sheila, the beautiful new transfer student. She had masses of long black hair and eyelashes so long they got tangled in her curls when she leaned over her desk. The medical student had a withdrawal nature, though not by inclination. He had learned the hard way that people avoid him when they heard about his insane father locked away in an asylum. But he had to overcome his taciturn nature or risk losing Sheila to one of the other fellows that panted over her. So the medical student volunteered to tutor her, Sheila, in one of her classes. After that, it was easy. Sheila toppled into love with the medical student as madly as he was in love with her. They went everywhere together, hardly bearing to part for classes. The medical student lived in a bubble of joy until the day he saw Sheila speaking to a good looking fellow who lived in the same dorm. They were laughing together over something one of their professors had said in history class, and a shaft of sheer jealousy pierced the medical student's gut. How dare she laugh with another man? He confronted his Sheila with her perceived trespass, and she stared at him and said, "You're crazy." He winced, reminded of his father, and shouted insults at Sheila until she stalked off in rage. They made up over dinner, and things were fine for a while until the medical student saw Sheila borrow a pen from a handsome blond fellow at the library. That set him that set him off again. They hissed angry words at each other until the librarian kicked them out. The medical student huddled on the narrow bed in his dorm room until black anger gave way to common sense. He called Sheila and apologized. She accepted his apology, and they were back together. The medical student was scheduled to take Sheila to a local dance on Friday night, so he rushed to the dorm to dress in his best. As he turned to leave, the medical student noticed that a scalpel had fallen out of his medical bag and had something, it laid on his desk. I don't know why they put those weirdo words in there. He thrust it carelessly inside the bag and went to pick up his girlfriend and escort her to the dance. The couple had a fabulous evening, dancing, drinking, eating. They left the party around midnight, walked hand in hand to his dorm room for a nightcap. When they reached the entryway, Sheila veered off for a moment to ask a red-haired fellow from one of her art classes about an assignment that was due the next day. The medical student was instantly filled with gut-gnawing jealousy. When Sheila rejoined them, he hustled her upstairs to his room and shouted, "You flirt with every man you meet, you tramp." "You're crazy," Sheila shouted back, stark raving mad. The boyfriend saw red. "Don't call me mad," he said, his hand groping for the loose scalpel in his medical bag on the desk. When the mist cleared from his eyes, Sheila lay dead at his feet, her throat cut from ear to ear. The whole room was covered with red gore, and her masses of black hair lay in a pool of steaming blood. The medical student's brain went into overdrive. Hide the body, clean up the blood, invent an alibi. But first, he stared at the dead girl he had loved so much. Then he knelt beside the body and slowly cut off her face. He wrapped the face carefully in plastic before putting it in his desk drawer. Then he cleaned up the blood, hid the body in a tunnel near the laundry room. The next morning, the medical student told his roommate Sheila had broken up with him and gone home in a net without finishing her classes. The roommate accepted the story without question and didn't appear to notice the way the medical student peered obsessively inside his desk drawer. The medical student finally tore himself away from Sheila's face to attend his 11 o'clock class. When he returned at lunchtime, he found his roommate leaning out over the open window, looking ill. "I think I have the flu. I best run to the pharmacy and pick something up for it," the roommate said when he came in. "Want me to take a look?" the medical student asked, reaching for his bag. His roommate turned white. No, thank you, don't bother, he gasped, practically running from the room. The medical student shrugged in exasperation, peered into the drawer at Sheila's face, and settled down to work on a paper he had due next week. Downstairs, his roommate was on the phone with police. The medical student went ballistic when police came in with a warrant to arrest him. They manhandled Tim out of his chair while a grim-faced officer took a look in the desk drawer. When he saw the dead girl's face, the officer swore violently and vomited on the floor. The medical student was placed in the asylum with his father, who was locked away in a padded room next door. Every day, while his enraged father tried to kill his attendants, the boyfriend wept and stared out the window, seeing Sheila's lovely face in the branches of a nearby tree. The face seemed to sway to the rhythm of his father's fist as his insane parent pounded and pounded at the walls. Back in the dorm, the ghost of the girl in a blood-stained dress still floats along the highway, searching for her face. Ew, that was like a crazy one. As I was reading that, I was thinking about Suzanne Morphew and how like jealous and controlling Barry was. Yes. Jack's mom, weirdo words. Yeah, they put all those weirdo words like that I have never seen in my life. That's hard to pronounce in these damn ghost stories. And I'm just like, use normal freaking words, people. I mean, hell. I think readers would like it a lot better if you just use normal words instead of these weirdo words. Anyways, let's see. See what else is here. Gosh, I don't want to read any more weirdo stories like that. Bleeding sink. Let's see what this one is. Oh my gosh, that's like an extremely long one. I'm getting lazy now. Burnt church. Let's see what this one is. It looks long too, but I'm going to read it. Not too long. Okay, she was sophisticated, poised, and cultured. In retrospect, this should have made them suspicious. A teacher like her should be presiding over a girls' school in London or New York, not seeking a position in a small town in Georgia. But at that time, they were too delighted by her application to ask any questions. It will be good for our daughter to learn some culture. Oh, bug. A lightning bug fell on me. Ah! No, that's not a light. Go on, bug, you weirdo. You messed me up. Okay. Be good for the daughter to learn some culture, the attorney's wife told the pastor. And our boy may find some table manners at last, the pastor's wife responded with a smile. School was called into session in the local church shortly after the arrival of the teacher, and soon the children were bringing glowing reports home. The teacher was special. The teacher taught them manners and diction, as well as reading, writing, arithmetic. All the children loved the teacher. Their parents were delighted by the progress their children were making at school. The teacher had been a real find, a godsend, said the preacher's wife. But not everyone in town was so satisfied. The local ne'er-do-well called Smith, what? Ne'er-do-well called Smith had more sinister stories to tell. That woman ain't natural, he told the blacksmith, waving a bottle of whiskey for emphasis. I seen her out in the woods after dark, dancing around a campfire and chanting in a strange language. Nonsense, the blacksmith reported, calmly hammering a head iron barn on his anvil. They say she's got an altar in her room, and it ain't an altar to the Almighty, Smith insisted, leaning forward and blowing his boozy breath into the blacksmith's face. You're drunk, said the blacksmith, lifting the hot iron so it barred the man from coming any closer. Go home and sleep it off. Smith left Smithy, but he continued to talk wild about the teacher in the weeks that followed. During those weeks, a change gradually came over the school children. The typical high jinks and pranks that all the children played lessened. Their laughter died away, and when they did misbehave, it was on much more ominous scale than before. Items began to disappear from houses and farms. Expensive items like jewelry, farm tools, and money. When children talked back to their parents, there was a hard edge to their voices, and they did not apologize for their rudeness, even when punished. And my daughter lied to me the other day, the attorney's wife said to the pastor's wife in distress. I saw her punch her younger brother and steal an apple from him, and she denied it to my face. She practically called me a liar. The games the children play back in the woods frighten me, the pastor's wife confessed. They chant in a strange language and they move in such a strange manner, almost like a ritual dance. Could it be something they are learning at school? Asked the attorney's wife. Surely not. Teacher is such a sweet, sophisticated lady, said the pastor's wife, but they exchanged uneasy glances. Smith, on the other hand, was sure. The teacher is turning the young'uns to the devil. That's what she's doing, he proclaimed up and down the streets of the town. Don't be ridiculous, the preacher told him when they passed in front of the mercantile. I ain't ridiculous. You are blind, Smith told him. The teacher ought to be burned at the stake like they burned the witches in Salem. The pastor, pale with wrath, ordered Smith out of his sight. But the ne'er-do-well's words rang in his mind and would not be pushed away. And the children continued to behave oddly, almost like they were possessed. He would, the preacher decided reluctantly, have to look into it some day soon. That day came sooner than he thought, the very next Monday. His little boy came down with the cold, and his mother kept him home from school. When the pastor returned from his duties for a late lunch, his wife came running up to him as soon as he entered the door. She was pale with fright. I heard him chanting something over and over again in his bedroom, she gasped. So I crept to the door to listen. He was saying the Lord's Prayer backwards. The preacher gasped and clutched his Bible to his chest as goosebumps erupted over his body. This was positively satanic, and there was nowhere the boy could have learned such a thing in this town unless he learned it at school. At that moment, the attorney's wife came bursting into the door behind him. Quick, Pastor, quick, she cried. Smith is running through the town with a torch, talking about burning down the school. The children are still in class. The pastor raced out of the house with the two women at his heels. They and the other townsfolk who followed them were met by a huge cloud of smoke coming from the direction of the church, where the children had their lessons. The building was already ablaze as frantic parents beat at the flames with their wet sacks and threw buckets of water from the pump into the inferno. Smith could be heard cackling unrepentantly from the far side of the building, which was full of screams of the trapped students and their teacher. The fire blazed with a supernatural kind of force, and the pastor thought he heard the sound of the teacher laughing from within the building when it became apparent that no one could be saved. The church burnt for several hours. When it was finally extinguished, there was nothing left. Mourning parents tried to find something of their children to bury, and Smith wisely disappeared from town, his mission against the works of Satan completed. The teacher's burnt body was buried deep in the ground and covered with a brick tomb. The children's smaller bodies were interred beneath wooden crosses. Of all the students in the school that fall, only the pastor's small son survived. To this day, voices can be heard in the graveyard of at Burnt Church chanting unintelligible words, as the school children and teacher once chanted in the woods outside of town. Sometimes apparitions are seen, and dark walkers who roam the graveyard at night. And they say that a brick taken from the grave of the evil teacher can set fire to objects on which they are placed. Oh, wow. I just realized something. Skylar's not out here on the porch. I don't think. No, she's out front. I forgot about that. It's a miracle that she's been quiet this long. Miracles do happen, guys. Hey, Shine On. Oh my gosh, guys. I could read ghost stories all night. Actually, it made me tired reading those stories. Maybe next week we'll play a game or something. Maybe we'll play Never Have I Ever or play some trivia or something. Jack's mom, what's wrong with these small towns in Georgia? Hey, I know. Georgia's probably like a really, really haunted state, I bet. Anyways, guys, it's been fun. Heebie jeebies. I know, I'm going to be scared. Mark will be home soon. Hopefully. He went to work on his motorcycle, something about the handlebars. Hopefully he'll be home soon or I'll be scared. I'm going to go find me something to watch on TV. Mess with Ladybug, my little stalker here. Jack's mom, I live here. Every state's haunted, especially the southern states, I think. I really believe that. Anyways, it's been fun, y'all. Like I said, next week we'll have a better stream. We'll have a game night. Take a break from the ghost stories and have a game night. I'll figure us out a game to play. I've got some 90s trivia. We've played that before, though. I've got some Family Feud. I've got some Never Have I Ever questions. I don't think I've asked those ones before. So we might play that one. That's always fun to play. Anyways, y'all have a good night, and I will see y'all in the morning for some crime and coffee. Hearts. Be safe, be kind. Peace. I'm coming, Ladybug.